Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome once again to the adventure of learning English with That's English.
The topic of Unit 2 is ecology and the environment. As you know, environment means medio ambiente and environmental means medioambiental.
Yes, that's true. We are all destroying the environment little by little. And that's why today's documentary is about organizations that try to protect the environment. And more specifically about one of those organizations, Greenpeace.
But before watching the documentary, it might be useful to look at some new words and expressions related to environmental issues. For example, to raise awareness, which means concienciar, to raise awareness.
Toxic waste means residuos tóxicos, and nuclear test, prueba nuclear. Biodiversity quiere decir biodiversidad, es decir, las diferentes formas de vida que componen el medio ambiente, biodiversity. Whaling es la caza de ballenas. Y por último, dumping, que significa vertido. En este contexto se refiere al vertido de basuras o de sustancias tóxicas. Dumping.
Now, pay attention to the questions you will have to answer after watching the documentary. The first question is, what was Greenpeace's first campaign and when?
Second question, on what environmental issues has Greenpeace changed people's attitudes? To change people's attitudes significa cambiar la actitud o mentalidad de la gente.
And finally, what can people do to help the environment?
Are you ready? Then let's watch Out and About. In the last decades, mankind seems to have started a race towards its own destruction. In the name of progress, trees have been cut down, air-polluting factories have been built, thousands of tons of waste of all kinds have been produced, and sea life has been destroyed. But fortunately, in the last few years, many organizations have been set up willing to work for a world in harmony with nature. One of them is Greenpeace.
These are the Greenpeace offices in London. The Department of International Communications is also based here. They make sure that information on all the campaigns organized by Greenpeace reaches newspapers and television stations in the whole world.
We asked Ms. Blair Pallis, one of the people in charge of this department, to explain to us what exactly Greenpeace is.
Greenpeace is an international environmental organization. We're based in 30 countries, and we were founded in 1971. We use direct action or protest tactics to raise the level of awareness about environmental issues and to bring about positive environmental change.
What are your main objectives?
Well, Greenpeace works on a number of different campaign areas, as we call them. That includes toxics, toxic waste, the trade in toxic materials, nuclear issues, both power and weapons, biodiversity, which involves everything from forests to fisheries and the marine environment, and finally energy and atmosphere issues. That includes climate change and ozone depletion.
Greenpeace was set up in 1971 to campaign against the nuclear tests that the USA were carrying out in the north of Alaska. A small group of people decided to go to the testing area on a ship, which they named Greenpeace. The name summed up the group's philosophy. We want peace, and we want it to be green. That was their first action, which has been followed by many others.
At present, Greenpeace has branches in over 30 countries in 5 continents with more than 5 million members. Through peaceful but often very dramatic campaigns, they have managed to change the attitude of many people towards the environment. And what's more important, in all these years, many national governments and private companies have come to accept their proposals.
Well, I think governments around the world have begun to recognize that environmental problems are a concern for everyone and that they must be addressed on the same level as many of the other problems facing the world. That's a positive step forward, but making the changes necessary is often very difficult and very political. So not only must there be recognition, but there must also be the ability and the will to make the changes necessary.
What has been Greenpeace's contribution to this change in people's attitudes?
Well, I'd say we'd like to think we've raised awareness globally about environmental issues, in particular in areas where environmental issues like whaling, nuclear waste dumping at sea, the French nuclear testing in the South Pacific Islands, these issues that people might not otherwise see if Greenpeace had not turned its attention to those issues and raised awareness about them by protesting the environmental problems we see going on in those places.
All the work of these last years hasn't been in vain. In the United Kingdom, as in most industrialized countries, the green movement has become more influential.
But we need something more than big campaigns to preserve the world we live in. Everybody's help is needed. That's why we asked what we can do to help solve the problems affecting the environment.
I think the most important thing that people can do to help the environment is to be aware of environmental impacts in their day-to-day life, to contribute where they can to bringing about change, whether that be using less energy or consuming less, whether it be goods or using less toxic materials, for instance, and then really recognizing the role that we all play in the bigger environmental world.
Today, more than ever, the preservation of the environment is everybody's responsibility. We mustn't forget that if we destroy nature, we are destroying ourselves.
Now let's see if you found the answers to the questions we gave you before the documentary. The first question was, what was Greenpeace's first campaign and when? Let's see.
Greenpeace was set up in 1971.
So, as you've heard, Greenpeace was founded in 1971.
And what was its first campaign? Let's see.
To campaign against the nuclear tests that the USA were carrying out in the north of Alaska.
Its first campaign was against the nuclear tests the United States were carrying out in the north of Alaska.
The second question was, on what environmental issues has Greenpeace changed people's attitudes?
In areas where environmental issues like whaling, nuclear waste dumping at sea, the French nuclear testing in the South Pacific Islands.
On different issues: whaling, dumping at sea, nuclear waste, and French nuclear tests in the South Pacific Islands.
And finally, what can people do to help the environment?
Is to be aware of environmental impacts in their day-to-day life.
As you heard, people can be aware of environmental impacts in their day-to-day life. I suppose you didn't have any problems to find the answers.
Now we can relax and enjoy our sketch. You'll see what happens to some ecologists who are not willing to put up with certain sacrifices.
Speak for yourself. I follow my ideals to the end.
You can judge yourselves. Let's watch our sketch.
Nuclear power kills, nuclear power, nuclear death. No more A group of people are holding a demonstration against pollution outside the building where the International Conference on Environmental Issues is taking place. Two of the demonstrators have chained themselves to the entry gate. We're going to try to interview them.
Nuclear power kills, nuclear power, nuclear death. No more mother waste, we want a clean world.
Are you seriously willing to go on a hunger strike?
Yes, we are.
Well, of course, yeah.
We are extremely worried about pollution.
We are being killed by our own rubbish. Plastic cans, batteries...
Not so fast, please. Can you speak a little more slowly and tell our viewers why you have decided to go on a hunger strike?
Well, we would like this conference to take effective measures against pollution.
Yeah. But we fear that politicians will only talk, as has been the case until now. This is the last chance to save our planet. Time is running out. We're willing to starve to death if measures are not taken against pollution.
And what measures are you suggesting?
Well, no more trees must be cut down to make paper.
All waste must be recycled.
Cities should be free of smoke.
That's right. Smoking should be banned in public places.
Well, I don't think we should take things to extremes.
Do you smoke?
Yes, I do. So what? I was referring to exhaust fumes, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, the smoke from my cigarettes doesn't pollute. It's your car that pollutes.
I use unleaded petrol.
We must put an end to cars. All cars should be destroyed.
What?
Yours as well, yeah.
Destroy my new ecological car? My brand new red car?
Huh. Is that huge red car yours? Ha. The smaller the man, the bigger his car. It should be destroyed. Cars should be banned from cities.
No. Cars are useful. Smoking should be banned.
Cars!
Smoking!
Cars!
Smoking!
Cars!
And while these two demonstrators try to reach an agreement, we'll report back to our studio.
Well, with people like you, the environment will not live much longer.
I'd like to make it clear that it was just a joke. In That's English, we take the protection of the environment very seriously. We print the scripts on recycled paper.
And we can use this script to read out what we've learned in this unit. Summing up.
La Unidad 2 ha estado dedicada a la ecología y al medio ambiente, y hemos aprendido nuevas palabras relacionadas con este tema.
También hemos aprendido a usar la voz pasiva.
Parking on the pavement shouldn't be allowed.
Y el tema de la ecología nos ha servido para aprender a expresar nuestro interés, nuestro temor o nuestra preocupación.
I'm interested in the environment.
I'm afraid of the sun's rays.
I'm worried about air pollution. Sarah.
Wow, thank you, Gary.
See you in the next program. Bye.
See you soon.